Bravo test. I'm going to hope it's working. I'm going to work this evening on completing the book on the book that Darko and I wrote, entitled The Bosnian Model of Al-Qaeda Terrorism, Modus Operandi, in 1999. I'm going to pick up where I left off last night. These appointed high-ranking governmental positions still, and to this very day, remain in very good standing with the self-proclaiming so-called, quote, new democratic government of Bosnia and Herzegovina, unquote, today still calling itself, quote, the Alliance for Change, unquote. In other words, the aforementioned large number of other Al-Qaeda Islamic-associated terrorist groups given Bosnian citizenship only makes a clear-cut and stronger case that indeed strong Allied ties exist today, as well as back during the Bosnian War, in as far as Al-Qaeda and Islamist terrorist groups and the Bosnian component in the Bihac pocket of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and always was affiliated with Al-Qaeda. They have cells around the world, terrorist cells, to launch their jihad. They're from back then, insofar as Islamic terrorists and the current Bosnian Muslim component of the Bosnian government, Karim Sahid Atmani, A-T-M-A-N-I, a notorious terrorist and a member of the Algerian group entitled Islamic Army, A-R-M-E-E-G-I-A, now in French police custody, was one more man that received Bosnian citizenship as far back as in 1995 from former Bosnia and Herzegovina President Alija Izetbegović and his henchmen. Also, a man named Mahiz Adouni, A-D-O-U-N-I, was a former member of Al-Mohahed and a close associate of Osama bin Laden himself, was recently arrested in Turkey with a falsified Bosnian passport. Moreover, another notable citizen named Mohammed Zaha Handallah, H-A-N-D-A-L-L-A-H, was a chief organizer of a 1997 Mostar Croatian car bombing period. Ekrem Avdi of Kosovo, AVDI of Kosovo, was also a founder of an Al-Qaeda-associated Mujahideen fighting unit there as well in Kosovo, as well as a man named Abubakar Siddiq, S-A-D-E-Q. He formerly fought in the Kosovo Tokia for the Kosovo Liberation Army of Albanians. All these men were personally issued Bosnian passports illegally in the summer of 1994 by the Teslić police superintendent. That man was named Šemsuddin Mimodović, M-E-H-M-E-D-O-V-I-C, period. During the winters between the years of 1995 and 1996, the Bosnian Muslim military conducted a program for covering up Al-Qaeda-associated Mujahideens that existed within its ranks. The Mujahideens with the most military experience were from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and they were Iranians who were all integrated into the Bosnian army as mercenaries. They redeployed into several different army units. The 3rd Corps was disbanded in January 1996 and transformed itself into a training unit for Al-Qaeda. Former Mujahideen fighters in Bosnia and Herzegovina at the time became mere Bosnian citizens, quote unquote, and today many of them still are training for Osama bin Laden's training camps, which he started with, and with the green light of former President Alija Izetbegović during the Bosnian War. And also, these people worked alongside the Bosnian Muslim military. The first group of 1,000 Bosnian Muslims began their training for Al-Qaeda in November of 1995 to replace the Al-Qaeda-associated Mujahideen, which had transferred to other units throughout the country to try to cover themselves up. The Arab commander of these units was a man named Abu Ali Mali, yet he was replaced by another brigadier general, Saqib Mahmujin, Mahmujin. Forgive me, I'm not good on Arabic names. Also an Islamic radicalist. With the help of officials in Sarajevo, Iranian Mujahideens associated with Al-Qaeda also reorganized the infrastructure inside Bosnia and Herzegovina after 1995, and after the Dayton-Paris peace agreement was signed, the 7th Revolutionary Guards from Iran, called Pasdaran, P-A-S-D-A-R-A-N, Brigade, was officially disbanded in December of 1995 period. However, its key officers, some 150 to 200 Iranians, and according to other sources, somewhere between 750 and 1,000 Islamist fighters, were, after the Dayton Accords, were integrated into the elite forces and associated training units of the Bosnian army. Meanwhile, Iranian commanders and key intelligence advisors from Iran were assigned to the positions of being the military attachés for Bosnia-Herzegovina, whose posts were located in Sarajevo. Dozens of Iranian intelligence experts, primarily the top instructors for the Al-Qaeda training camps in Bosnia-Herzegovina after 1995, were all then attached to the AID, Bosnia-Herzegovina intelligence cadres. They returned to Iran eventually and at that time were again assigned to special training camps for Al-Qaeda to act as intelligence AID, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Iranian intelligence gathering operatives for assisting in the Al-Qaeda military Islamic training all around the world globally. Then, in as early as 1996, several hundred Bosnian Muslim soldiers were sent to Iran for different sorts of military intelligence Al-Qaeda training period. Additionally, Iran revamped its own network of so-called, quote, charitable offices of NGOs, end quote, that were located in the following places in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia: Mostar, Zenica, Bihac, Siko, and Sarajevo. In June of 1996, Iran opened and staffed a large medical center in Bihac. Tehran focused on maintaining a long-term presence in Bosnia-Herzegovina, fortifying its infrastructure, while simultaneously expecting the international United Nations peacekeeping forces in Bosnia to depart, whether on their own will or due to the assumption of ethnic hostage which they plan to initiate. Period. At the end of March 1996, NATO confirmed that Iran was grossly violating the Dayton Peace Agreement. NATO spokesman Captain Mark Van Duyck, D-U-Y-K, stated that, quote, Iran, contrary to the provisions of the DPA, had contributed to train the Bosnian army affiliated with Al-Qaeda, and that Iranian cadres represented a terrorist threat to international forces existing under the United States at that time. Also, under the United States political pressures, former and dead President Alija Izetbegovic at this time admitted then, in 1999, formally, that indeed, quote, Islamic Iranians remained in the Bosnia-Herzegovina after the war, but claimed that their number was only between 50 and 60, not in the thousands, end quote. Former President Alija Izetbegovic also called these men remaining and working for Al-Qaeda in Bosnia-Herzegovina after 1996 and after the Dayton Peace Agreements were signed in Paris, demilitarized soldiers who stayed only because they married local Bosnian women who now were citizens of Bosnia and became citizens thereafter, and still exist in Bosnia-Herzegovina to this day, unknown where they exist, reside, or live. Direct evidence that Iran continues to train Bosnian Muslims with the Al-Qaeda military and intelligence personnel in Bosnia-Herzegovina for IFOR raid on the terrorist training camp on Foyanica. There were 11 instructors from Iran who were arrested and ammunitions confiscated, like 60 pieces installed in toys, and they had plans this Al-Qaeda training group in what did I say, Vojanica in Bosnia-Herzegovina had ammunitions and bombs made of toys they were going to send all over the world. That was confiscated. 60 pieces of different arms, ammunition, explosive devices installed in toys, and the plans of the American troop headquarters in Sarajevo were going to be bombed by these people. Various technical literature were also found of Eastern origin, and plenty of Islamic propaganda material as well was found at this arrest. On that occasion, a mountain of evidence was also found showing this training camp for Al-Qaeda to be undoubtedly run by instructors emanating from the Iranian intelligences. Among the impounded materials were lists containing names of trainees for Al-Qaeda. 1. Aliyah Razi Bayatta, B-A-Y-A-T-T-A. He was the head of the Iranian intelligence services in the Balkans. His section was found after the raid. This was discharged because his inadequate security measures at the camp where the Al-Qaeda training took place made it impossible for the raid. It's late. Back at the Vojanica, Al-Qaeda intelligence involvement in organizing international terrorism in Bosnia as well up to 2001, the World Trade Centers. Transforming these former fighters in Iran of the Mujahideen's official status began in December 1995, complete by March 1996 after the war had complete. They had been transformed into an elite corps at that time that helped Islamize most of the entire Bosnian Muslim military establishment, including Srebrenica. The important role in this radical transformation of Islamization of the Bosnian Muslims and that was undertaken by the Bosnian Muslim component of the Bosnian Muslim Army with the Iranian units was that it had an AID, the Iranian intelligence agency, working in Bosnia-Herzegovina, which helped conducting research documentation, which was established on the 12th of January 1996 with the aid and influence of Irania. Irania also organized according to the Iranian intelligence concepts and used Iranian government control, used the Iranian government specifically to control its own people in Bosnia-Herzegovina and maintain influence among the terrorists and Al-Qaeda trainees in Vojanica and elsewhere in the Bihac pocket. AID, the Bosnia-Herzegovina Intelligence Service under President Izetbegovic, was working with Al-Qaeda to coordinate activities of terrorists in Bosnia and all throughout Europe, all the way to New York City, to create terrorist group cells that operated in Egypt, named Gamma at al-Islamiyah, in Israel, Hamas, in Lebanon, Hezbollah. This agency had two main tasks: to provide cover for the hardcore Mujahideen, whose expulsion, and two, to ensure the establishment of Islamic states, especially those affiliated with Osama bin Laden and radical Islamicism, in the entire territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina to Islamicize all Muslims. Its first task was achieved through the Bosnia-Herzegovina Intelligence Service, AID, by giving the Mujahideen new identities, new passports, papers, and the like, and new identities. This was appropriated with Bosnian papers and falsified passports. Key members of the El Mohadid were awarded Bosnian citizenship, that was an Al-Qaeda group aforementioned, and given property in the area known as the, quote, Green Triangle, end quote, in Bosnia and Herzegovina to build homes, training grounds, and where many radical Islamists live today in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Some of the villages where they settled were the following: Uras, Guchagora, and Herici, Mehurici, and this is located near Travnik. Hanbil is another town where they are located in central Bosnia, and Bocinia near Zavedenocia, Zavidivoci, spelled Zavidivovice. In fact, the very first director of the intelligence service of Bosnia-Herzegovina was a man named Bihac Ali Savic, ALISPAHIC. He was a former high-ranking official in the former Yugoslav Internal Security Directorate, SBD, and erstwhile Internal Affairs Minister. On March 15, 1996, after the war, under pressure from the NATO countries regarding the obvious involvement of the intelligence service of Bosnia-Herzegovina under Izetbegovic and his association with Osama bin Laden giving the green light to build terrorist bases and a large Bosnian Islamist Mujahideen presence, a man named Ejup Ganic, Ganic, sacked Ali Savic, the aforementioned man, and replaced him with a man named Kamal Adimovic, ADEMOVI. Demonstrated a strong continuing commitment to continue the connection between Sarajevo and Al-Qaeda groups associated with radical Islamist terrorism. Mr. Adimovic was at one time commander of a special Mujahideen unit for protecting the Federal Ministry of Internal Affairs in Bosnia-Herzegovina under President Izetbegovic. After his appointment into the intelligence service of Bosnia-Herzegovina, he retained command of that unit aforementioned, as well as several key components of the Handschar Division, HANDSCHAR Division, period. And note 43, Ejup Ganic was a member of the Bosnian Muslim presidency with Izetbegovic, which is a rotating presidency between Croats, Serbs, and Muslims. In no manner is it a democratic government, as Bill Clinton has stated, and it's falling apart. And I highly suggest everyone reads a book about the African states and how they fell apart, and also the Commonwealth of Independent States and how they fell apart in Russia, and how the untimely demise of the ancient Roman Empire manifest approximately where the United States is existing today, spreading itself militarily thin everywhere so it can't protect its borders, and the moral and political decadence taking place within the political animal existing in the United States today. The real power, however, of Al-Qaeda and their Islamic Mujahideen fundamentalists existing in Bosnia-Herzegovina, and to this day, however, has always been based upon their radical theology, coupled with their friends in high-ranking diplomatic circles in Bosnia-Herzegovina all the way to the UN mission in New York City. The foreign minister, while continuing influencing the operations of the intelligence of Bosnia and Herzegovina, worked its way all the way into the Bosnian mission in New York City to the United Nations directly before 9/11. However, now he was running illegal activities involving the AID within the international sphere of global diplomacy in New York City. His associate, Mr. Erfan Liaveljev, advisor to Adimovic, Muslimovic, Asific, Ali's AAC, former assistants, were both transferred to other reputable positions worldwide. According to a Los Angeles Times article, and note 44, quote, hundreds of foreign Islamic extremists began and became Muslim Bosnian citizens after the date words were signed and the war was complete. Hardcore Al-Qaeda terrorists, some with ties to Osama bin Laden, protected militant elements in the former Sarajevo government, the Muslim component. That was a staging, quote, staging area and safe haven, end quote, for all kinds of terrorists globally, said one former senior State Department official. In several instances, terrorists with links to Osama bin Laden in Bosnia have been targeted successfully. Trifunovic investigated and stopped the U.S. Embassy from being bombed in Sarajevo in and of itself. Another example of this was an Algerian Bosnian who was given Bosnian citizenship, described by one United States official as, quote, a junior Osama bin Laden in itself, trying to help smuggle explosives in 1998 to an Egyptian terrorist group to destroy the U.S. military installations in Germany, where ironically Laden was stationed. Period. This shipment included military C4 plastic explosives and blasting caps, period. Luckily, the CIA intercepted these, and luckily for my son. The shipment was foiled, and the attack itself foiled and spoiled. Another North African ship to a terror cell associated with Al-Qaeda in Canada, Montreal, was also a co-conspirator in a foiled attempt, millennium plot to bomb Los Angeles International Airport. In fact, one of Osama bin Laden's top lieutenants, a Palestinian linked to major terrorist plots in Jordan, operatives from Bosnia, New York, and was issued a Bosnian passport as officials. I'm going to stop here. Thank you, and I hope we're all learning something. Join me tomorrow. God bless and stay safe.